Things people that don't have fibromyalgia may not understand.
Feeling like you broke a bone when it is not broken. Not being able to fall asleep even though you are so tired. Feeling extreme pain when someone lightly touches your arm. People get mad at us for feeling ill or in pain when we seem to fine the day before. Even though we sometimes seem like we're okay, a lot of the time we aren't. Sometimes they'll have to repeat things to us because we don't remember or we were too absorbed in our symptoms to fully understand how bad it can hurt to pick up something off the ground. That even though it seems like we're complaining at times, what we are complaining about is not nearly half as bad as what it feels like on the inside. We do not want to identify as someone with fibromyalgia, but sometimes we say we have it so others can hopefully understand.
I mean, it's not like we're working in a coal mine. God, no. But here's a secret. It's way worse than working in a coal mine. It's more dangerous than working in a coal mine. We would love to be working in a coal mine.
Fibromyalgia is a diagnosis you get when your doctor says, you're in pain, but I don't know why. But the secret is that good doctors do actually know.
I know everything.
Unfortunately, in our fast food version of a healthcare system, they don't have time to take a good history, so that never happens. And that's a darn shame, because we actually have simple, evidence-based, natural ways to get you out of pain and feeling like yourself again. Now, every time I say this, someone will jump up waving the latest research about fibromyalgia being autoimmune. Or, and this one's extra cruel, the fact that antibodies from fibromyalgia patients who are human can be transferred to mice, and then the mice get fibromyalgia. It's cute, right? The mice feel bad. But here's the thing that doesn't make fibromyalgia a one-size-fits-all autoimmune disease. It just shows that fibromyalgia is part of the larger picture of chronic inflammation gone wild. In fact, these studies back up what I have been saying for years. Chronic pain doesn't come from one place. It's like a bad potluck. Everybody brought a dish, but they're all terrible. Ugh. Infections, yes. Injuries that did not heal properly, you got it. Sprinkle a little childhood trauma on top, and a dash of environmental toxicity from endocrine disrupting chemicals. And all of these things jack up inflammatory markers in your body. So when people say, it's autoimmune, they're just pointing to the obvious. Chronic pain is a flashing red light, meaning many bad things happen to you. But that does not mean fibromyalgia has just one cause, and anybody saying there is just one cure is full of crap. And this is why the treatments that actually work, which are breath work, nutrition, mild exercise, and botanical medicines, address multiple systems of the body. It is Voltron for your health, and it targets all the little puzzle pieces that come together to create the syndrome we call fibromyalgia.
Okay, we're going to talk about one of the worst fibromyalgia symptoms on the planet, probably right underneath allodynia. And if you've never experienced allodynia, congratulations, you've been spared. So I'm sure most of us know what the term flare-up means, but how many of you know what vaginal flare-up means? Now, if you're watching this and going, oh my god, she knows. Congratulations, we're both being hunted for fucking sport. So what exactly am I talking about? Well, vulvodynia is chronic pain or discomfort around the opening of your vagina, vulva, for which there is no identifiable cause and which lasts at least 3 months. 3 months, bitch! Vulvodynia is kind of like the fibromyalgia of vaginal disorders, and in fact, patients with one condition often also suffer from the other. Vulvodynia is chronic pain of the vulva that can also have an intense impact on a person's life. Treating vulvodynia symptoms from fibromyalgia is possible. Sort of. But before we get there, let's talk about the signs and symptoms. Chronic pain, painful sexual intercourse, painful prolonged sitting, painful tampon insertion, pain wearing fitted pants, irritation, burning, and stinging. Now, fucking rest in pieces to your vagina if this happens during your period. Because it happens to me. And oh my god. So we got medications, steroids, tricycline, antidepressants, anticonvulsants, antihistamines. Good luck if any of those work. Biofeedback therapy, local anesthetic, which kind of just means like local ointment, like lidocaine ointment. And then I thought it couldn't get any worse, and then I scrolled down to nerve blocks. In your coochie, nerve blocks. in your coochie. Pelvic floor therapy, which, you know, in theory sounds great, but it's also giving just exercise. You know what I mean? And then surgery. Surgery. What could go wrong with that? So if you don't want to go through any of that bullshit, and you're more of the home remedy type, allow me to give some words of wisdom. Ice is nice. Get an ice pack and sit on it. I am not even fucking kidding. Get an ice pack and sit on it. Now, another option or combo is getting your hands on a glove like this, and you're going to fill it up with water, not the whole way, just enough where you can cut the fingertips off. And you're going to throw it in the freezer. It's going to freeze. You're going to cut the fingertips off, and you are going to stick them exactly where you think I am talking about. Only do it for a few seconds at a time, otherwise you're most likely going to risk burning the insides of your vajayjay, and that's literally the last thing that you want to happen. But those few seconds at the beginning, they're going to feel like bliss. They're going to feel like bliss. Now, I'm trying to get a service dog for being hunted for sport every day. Anything helps. The link is in my bio. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
And if only there was somebody to blame. Oh, wait. There is.
Exactly this. And this conversation interests me doubly so because I am somebody who's experienced a lot of trauma in my life, and it started very young. I have CPTSD and a dissociative disorder that I don't usually talk about on here because it is more personal to me. I also am neurodivergent. I have autism. That one is not diagnosed, but pretty much everybody in my life who knows me agrees with it, and several members of my own family as well as my therapist. So peer-reviewed, we could say, and dissociation is a big thing when it comes to all of these different things. Like I said in my first video, we know what happens to kids when they're forced to stifle their feelings and not feel their emotions, or when they're going through too much to be allowed, like their body isn't able to feel all of those things because it's not safe to feel all of those things. What happens to them in those circumstances? In a lot of cases, it's dissociation. A lot of cases, it's being numb to it. It's struggling to actually feel your feelings and identify them. It's struggling to process them. It's those big feelings compacting because they've been shoved down for so long, and then something hits and all of them come bursting out. There's a lot that goes into it for sure. And then the other side of it for me with my autism is also whenever I do get into that point where I have to numb out and not think of it and dissociate away from it, now hyper intellectualizing it and talking through it, because I am very hyperlinguistic. I talk a lot, and talking through things helps me process them a lot. So it ends up being logic only, looking at it from as objective of a third point, like taking every emotion I have out of it and trying to look at it, which more often than not does not truly honor how I feel about a situation, and it leaves a lot left to be unpacked. Like most of the situations I've been through, I have intellectualized all the way through, but the emotions, the feelings, like when I was going to therapy, one of the first things she brought up was that I was very good at talking through everything, giving her an exact rundown of everything that happened, intellectualizing why it happened, why that person might have reacted that way, why I might have reacted that way, but not a single time through any of that did I say how any of it felt. I couldn't identify with the feeling. I couldn't, it was interesting to say the least. But yeah, this conversation definitely brings up a lot of different things. I have a lot of different nuances that go into this because it isn't just my chronic illnesses, and it isn't just the chronic pain or things like that. Those are big contributing factors. One of my first cognizant examples of dissociation was telling myself that pain was just a message from your nerves to your neurons to tell you that something was wrong. So if I just acknowledged that something was wrong, I could ignore the pain, and I could just tell myself it was a signal my brain was sending me, and I didn't have to acknowledge it. I didn't have to feel it. And like, it's wild to think how interconnected and interlooped my CPTSD, the dissociation, and the chronic illnesses and chronic pain and disability have been this whole time without me realizing. Because while I did get more disabled later in life, I have had these issues my entire life and just didn't have a name for them. I thought they were normal. I thought everybody was going through them. So a good chunk of my life has been thinking that I was just worse at hiding things, worse at managing things, and having to dissociate my way through them because I thought everybody was doing that. So yeah, I just wanted to dive a little bit deeper on this topic because there has been a bunch of really good conversations happening in this comment section. If you haven't seen the original video, definitely check it out for context and check out that comment section, because a lot of people apparently have gone through this and struggle with this issue, and it has been incredibly enlightening, and you guys have been incredibly validating that I'm not alone, because this is a problem I have brought up with so many different people, with so many different therapists, and a lot of them were very stumped because it's not like it's a cognitive distortion. It's not like it's something that I have to rethink or rework. It's literal physical pain and consequences. Like that, yeah, it's interesting, but thank you for letting me rant about this.
What do you do for a living? Well, right now, not too much. I post content on social media about chronic illnesses and disabilities and my conditions and just kind of sharing my experience, and that does help here and there with a few bills, but aside from that, I haven't been able to work. Why not? Whatever happened to your last job? Well, I ended up having to go on medical leave because my seizures started cropping up, my POTS was getting flared up so badly that I couldn't stand or walk for more than like 10 minutes at a time. Well, why don't you try a sit-down job or a work-from-home job? I mean, you could be making a lot of money if you were doing this whole TikTok thing on top of actually working a real job. You know, I agree, it sucks because I actually really wish I could do that. That was my plan to begin with, was to do TikTok or social media on top of trying to work a full-time job so that I could have a stockpile building up, some kind of a savings, maybe get into housing. The unfortunate reality is I've tried work-from-home jobs and they don't work well for me either. A lot of them are computer-based, and if not computer-based, phone call-based, and unfortunately with my chronic migraines and with the fact that my arms go numb after only an hour on the computer, it's pretty difficult to lock down a job like that. Just get a wrist brace or one of those pads that you put under your arms when you're typing. Trust me, I've tried that. I worked from home all through COVID, so I tried everything I could think of to make those problems go away, and it does not work. Plus, the arm numbness wasn't even the biggest inhibitor from that job. It was the migraines. It's looking at a computer screen or at a screen at all day long. Again, this could be easily fixed. Just get those blue light glasses. I've tried that too. It's not that simple. Look, I appreciate that you're trying to give advice and trying to help me out, but I am chronically ill and disabled, and I am very proud of the work I've put in to be self-employed and working on social media and making content for people that is actually going somewhere. It's actually doing better than I thought it was going to. But even with that, it is disappointing that I can't do more. I wish I could have a stable full-time income that doesn't change every single paycheck. I wish I could get out of the house more and have work friends and actually engage with people. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's not a choice, and that if I could work, I would be working.
Die in the house that I grew up in.
You need to make more disabled friends. I'm not gonna hold your hand when I say it. You need to make more disabled friends. Because the way that some of y'all are, like, out on the street reacting to, like, a cane. Girl, it's a stick that I used to walk with. It's not gonna bite you. It's scary. It's genuinely scary. Like, some of the way that, like, I don't know, it's like genuinely some people are like terrified of it, where they like kind of jump out of the way, or they like kind of just, they fucking like stare at you like, girl, what? I'm out here, like I'm trying to be out here, please, leave me alone. Anyway.
And she's just in the background, and she says, I wish that I could be like the cool kids, 'cause all the cool kids, they seem to fit. I wish that I could be.
Ableism within the disability community exists. Unfortunately, it's true. In the past, I've personally either been a victim of or witnessed ableism in multiple disability communities that I considered myself a part of. Unfortunately, some disabled people play into disability hierarchies. So for example, in the wheelchair user community, if you became disabled later in life, like you were injured in an accident, became paralyzed, and then had to start using a wheelchair, and you can also self-propel that wheelchair all the time, you would be at the top of the hierarchy in some people's eyes. This makes it really difficult for people like me, who were born disabled, are ambulatory wheelchair users, can't self-propel all the time, and use other mobility aids. Because in my experience, not only are we at the bottom of this quote-unquote hierarchy, we are also looked down upon by people at the top. I've also experienced this in the dwarfism community because I have a really rare type of dwarfism. The most common type of dwarfism is called achondroplasia, and some people who have it do not like other people who don't have it. So just like non-disabled people need to check their ableism, some disabled people do too. Let's just all be nice to each other. Thanks for watching.